The Invisible Crisis: Rethinking Family Homelessness. When we talk about homelessness in America, what image comes to mind? For many of us, it's the solitary figure on a street corner, perhaps an adult man with his possessions in a shopping cart. This singular narrative has dominated our understanding for decades, shaping policies, funding decisions, and public perception. But today, I want to challenge that narrative and illuminate a reality that remains largely invisible in our national conversation about housing insecurity. I recently had the profound honor of interviewing Justine Jones, whose revolutionary work with homeless families has transformed how we understand this crisis. Justine isn't just an advocate, she's a visionary who has dedicated her life to keeping families intact during their most vulnerable moments. Her unwavering commitment has created ripples of change throughout communities nationwide, and her insights have fundamentally altered how we approach family homelessness. Where others saw isolated problems, Justine recognized systemic failures. Where others offered band aid solutions, she pioneered holistic approaches that honor the dignity and unity of families in crisis. What Justine helped me understand, and what I hope to convey to you today, is that our systems and services designed to address homelessness have historically been built around individuals, not families. This critical oversight has created a painful reality where parents, especially Black parents, face unique challenges that can tear families apart at the very moment they need to stay together most. Imagine being told that to have a roof over your head tonight, you must separate from your children. Imagine having to choose between keeping your family intact and having shelter. This impossible choice is one that thousands of parents face every day across our country, a choice no parent should ever have to make. When I spoke with Justine, she emphasized something that stopped me in my tracks. Family homelessness is rising, even as overall homelessness decreases in some regions. This counterintuitive trend reveals a blind spot in how we measure progress. We might celebrate declining numbers while families, particularly Black and Brown families, continue to fall through widening cracks in our social safety net. The data tells a story that demands our attention. Despite some regional progress in addressing homelessness broadly, the number of unsheltered families and children is increasing. Services for families are often the first to run out because our systems were built around single adults. This means that when a family loses housing, they enter a world of services not designed with their needs in mind. Let me take you to Los Angeles, where Para Los Niños, an early education provider, has witnessed firsthand the sharp increase in unhoused students. Their classrooms tell the story that statistics sometimes hide. More and more children arriving tired, hungry, and carrying the invisible weight of housing instability. What makes their situation particularly challenging is that families with children struggle to find housing that accommodates them. Many shelters have room occupancy limits that force families to split up. A mother might be told she can stay, but her teenage son needs to go elsewhere. A father might be separated from his daughters because the shelter doesn't have appropriate accommodations for mixed gender families. Para los Niños responded to this crisis by expanding their support services. They added on site counseling and family case management. They advocated for more family friendly shelter policies. The results were powerful: increased school attendance and stability among unhoused students, more families accessing wraparound support, Their work helped shift local policy conversations toward family centered homelessness services, highlighting the need for systemic change. But this isn't just a Los Angeles story. In Indianapolis, the Streets to Home Indy initiative is addressing a 7% increase in homelessness, with a notable rise in family homelessness and persistent racial disparities. Their data revealed what many communities are reluctant to acknowledge. Black households are disproportionately affected by homelessness and are underserved by existing programs. This brings me to the second key insight from my conversation with Justine Jones. Black families face disproportionate challenges in housing security. Data consistently shows that Black households experience higher rates of homelessness, reflecting broader systemic inequities. This makes targeted support for Black parents and children not just helpful, but essential for any meaningful solution. The Streets to Home Indy initiative prioritizes family housing placements, increases funding for family shelters, and provides culturally competent support services. Their approach recognizes that addressing homelessness requires acknowledging and responding to racial disparities. As a result, more families, especially Black families, have been able to access stable housing and supportive services. What's particularly powerful about their work is how they've raised community awareness about racial disparities and shifted resources toward family focused interventions. They secured new funding streams and expanded the number of family shelter beds. They recognize that solutions must be tailored to the specific needs of the communities they serve. In Benton County, Oregon, we see another example of how data can drive change. Their 2025 point in time count provides a detailed snapshot of homelessness, including family and youth homelessness. The count revealed that families with children, survivors of domestic violence, and people of color face higher barriers to shelter and support. Black, Indigenous, and Hispanic people make up 23% of the unhoused population, a significant overrepresentation. But here's where hope enters the story. Increased investment in shelter funding and cold weather operations led to more families being sheltered, reversing previous trends of high unsheltered rates. For the first time, they achieved a higher rate of sheltered versus unsheltered individuals. They improved data collection on family and youth homelessness. And they used this information to inform long term planning and funding priorities to better serve families and address racial disparities. These stories illuminate the third key insight from my conversation with Justine. Solutions must be family centered. Effective strategies require rethinking shelter design, increasing access to larger, more suitable housing units, and providing holistic support that keeps families together and addresses the specific needs of parents and children. When we design solutions for families, we must consider the full spectrum of their needs. Children need stability, education, and safety. Parents need support, employment opportunities, and the dignity of keeping their families intact. And families of color need services that recognize and address the additional barriers they face due to systemic racism. This brings me to a deeper truth about how we approach homelessness in America. We've created a system that treats the symptom, lack of housing, without addressing the underlying conditions that lead to housing insecurity. And we've designed that system primarily for individuals, leaving families to navigate a maze of services not built with them in mind. The revolution that Justine Jones advocates for is one where we reimagine our approach to homelessness from the ground up, where we recognize that keeping families together isn't just a nice ideal, it's a fundamental necessity for both parents and children, where we acknowledge that Black families face unique challenges that require targeted solutions, and where we design services and systems that support the whole family, not just individuals. This revolution requires us to shift our thinking in profound ways. It means moving from a one size fits all approach to homelessness to one that recognizes the diversity of experiences and needs. It means acknowledging that family homelessness often looks different. It might be the mother and children doubled up with relatives, the family living in their car, or the parents working multiple jobs while staying in a motel. These families may not be visible on our streets, but their housing insecurity is no less real. It also means recognizing that for Black women in particular, the journey through homelessness intersects with unique challenges. As Justine shared with me, Black mothers often face the dual burden of racism and sexism when seeking services. They may be stereotyped, judged more harshly, or have their parenting scrutinized in ways that white mothers don't experience. This adds another layer of stress to an already traumatic situation. For many Black women who have spent their lives in survival mode, leading teams, raising families, holding down households, carrying communities, experiencing homelessness can be particularly devastating. These are women who have often been the backbone of their families and communities, who have embodied strength and resilience. And yet, when housing insecurity strikes, they find themselves in systems that don't recognize their unique needs or honor their dignity. As we conclude today, I want to leave you with this powerful truth. The crisis of family homelessness isn't just a housing issue, it's a moral crisis that strikes at the very heart of who we claim to be as a society. When we allow systems to separate families at their most vulnerable moments, we betray our values of compassion, dignity, and justice. I challenge each of you to see the invisible families in your community, to recognize that the mother at your child's school who seems perpetually exhausted might be navigating housing insecurity, that the family who moved in with relatives temporarily 6 months ago is experiencing homelessness by federal definitions, that the children who come to school hungry may have slept in a car the night before. And I challenge you to act. Support organizations that provide family centered services, advocate for policies that keep families together, volunteer at family shelters, donate household goods to families transitioning into housing. Use your voice to demand that our systems recognize and respond to the unique needs of families experiencing homelessness. As Justine Jones so powerfully reminds us, when we keep families together during their hardest moments, we don't just provide shelter, we preserve the foundation from which healing and stability can grow. Let us be the society that preserves that foundation. Let us be the generation that refuses to accept family homelessness as inevitable. Let us be the community that says, no family should have to choose between staying together and having a roof over their heads. The time for invisibility is over. The time for action is now.